Hello, this is Charlie Perez from Big Panda Performance. Today I'll be describing my process of using Match Video to identify a specific subset of skills that you need to work on. I'll walk you through a series of short videos and commentary to guide you through this process. The first video shows the start of a stage and the first shooting position. The first position requires drawing from a surrender position while taking a step into the port. Inside of the port, there is an array of paper and steel targets that are engaged from left to right, followed by an additional paper target outside of the port. The target engagement order was hardcover paper, open paper, steel plate, low hardcover paper, then open paper outside of the port. This shooting position had several challenges, and if you didn't execute each aspect properly, it would consume a lot of extra time. The first challenge was changing the shooting aggression for the varied target difficulties. You start out on a fairly easy shot, then needed to immediately switch gears to more difficult shots. The second challenge was contending with the physical restriction of the port versus the location of the targets. This physical restriction promoted poking the gun in and out while transitioning from the low target to the last target outside of the port. The third challenge was getting into the proper foot position to eliminate needing to take multiple steps in order to access all the targets. Let's watch my video footage and see how this goes. Okay, let's identify the primary issues. The most time-consuming issue was due to my misses on steel plates. I had several makeup shots on both plates. The primary cause of the steel plate misses was due to trying to maintain the same aggressive paper target shooting pace on the steel targets. The second cause was that I didn't pick a specific aiming spot on each plate. I was simply shooting when my sights were anywhere on the plates, which is not good. The next time-consuming issue is due to shuffling my feet excessively within the position. Every extra step within the position costs time, and more importantly, it kills my target-to-target transition precision. I didn't respect the foot placement required for this shooting position during the walkthrough or programming the stage. This led to inaccurate foot placement as I stepped into the position and the resulting shuffling. Picking a specific location on the ground for my initial left foot step into the position along with a slightly deeper and wider stance would have solved this problem. The last issue, which is fairly minor, is a slight pull back and poke back out of the gun during the transition from inside to outside of the port. This is needed to clear the side of the port as the muzzle of the pistol would have hit the side of the port otherwise. Did you catch all these issues when watching the video footage? Let's play that video again so you can assess the performance while focusing on these issues I identified. Now that I've identified these issues, I can effectively recreate and practice the scenario on the range. The following day, I went to the range and replicated this shooting position scenario. My first task is to rebuild my strategy in order to create solutions for these issues. This starts by picking specific aiming spots on each target to aim at. Next, I can physically rehearse the footwork, target-to-target transitions, and shooting pace. Once I feel like I've ironed out the bulk of these issues, I need to determine what a realistic shooting time will be to perform the drill. I do this by using a shot timer or stopwatch to time my physical rehearsal of the drill. In this specific example, I'm using a shot timer to determine the time of the drill. I hold the timer in both hands, then push the start button with one finger and hold the pocket clip open with my thumb. I physically dry fire the stage by looking at each target's specific aiming spot and verbally give each target a realistic boom, boom shooting pace. On the last boom, I release the pocket clip. The click of the pocket clip on the back of the timer registers as a shot, and this marks the end time of the drill. This should give me a fairly accurate dry fire rehearsal time for the drill. If you've dry fired the stage at a realistic pace, the overall time is usually within a few tenths of a second of what it should be in live fire. Here's a video of me performing this process. 477. As you can see, my physical dry fire of the stage was at a deliberate, realistic pace, and it resulted in a time of 4.77 seconds. I set up a par time of 4.8 seconds on the shot timer. Using this par time, I dry fire the drill using my hands to point at each target in a pseudo grip. When I start giving the paper targets its appropriate aggressive boom boom pace, I was consistently beating the 4.8 second par time. I lowered the par time to 4.6 seconds and repeated the hands only dry fire several more times to confirm that the adjusted par time was correct. Here's a video of me performing this dry fire process using only my hands.
Boom, 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 bing, bing, boom, 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 boom.
After confirming successful achievement of the hands-only dry fire at 4.6 seconds, now I can include using the gun to dry fire the drill. I repeat the dry fire process with the gun using the same 4.6 second par time. If you haven't been respecting the specific aiming spot on each target during the hands-only dry fire, then you'll feel like there isn't enough time to aim when using the gun. It's very important to ensure that your hands-only dry fire pace gives you enough time to achieve a valid sight picture on each target with the gun. If not, you need to increase the par time to match what is required to achieve valid sight picture on each target with the gun. Don't be surprised if you have to keep going back and forth between hands-only dry fire and gun dry fire iterations in order to determine an accurate par time for the drill. Here's a video of me performing this dry fire process with the gun.
Boom, 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 bing, bing, boom, 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 boom.
After I successfully deploy the gun dry fire process using the 4.6 par time, now I can switch to live fire. If I've been dry firing the drill with my hands and gun at an effective, realistic pace, my live fire performance should be very close in overall time. It's also important to determine what a successful target hits should be during the live fire run. For this specific scenario, I've set my hits requirement to capture all alphas on the paper and hitting the steel 1 for 1. If I can't consistently achieve this required hit quality in live fire, then my dry fire pace was too aggressive. If it takes more overall time to consistently achieve the required hit quality in the live fire, then you will need to raise the par time accordingly. Use the increased par time to rebuild your dry fire pace so it matches the slower time. Here's a video of me live firing the drill, which consistently achieves the required hit quality as well as resulting in a 4.6 to 4.7 second runs. This multi-step process of identifying issues, scenario replication, dry fire, and live fire is not a trivial effort. For me, every one of these steps is required to effectively identify issues and deploy a training process that will promote fixing the issues long term. This is also not a once and done training effort. I will need to repeat the same process for these specific skill issues until I've performed enough repetitions to retrain my behavior. The long-term goal is to retrain these skills to the point of subconscious execution. Achieving subconscious execution will give me a solid confidence on match day to perform effectively the next time I'm required to deploy these skills. The last thing I want to point out in this process is a heavy dry fire bias. Performing the bulk of the repetitions in dry fire will allow you to focus on the fine details without being distracted by the gun firing. The bonus of dry firing the drill the majority of the time is that you consume way less ammo while on the range. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I realize that each training process or strategy is unique and it may not apply to some. I've witnessed many of my students deploy this style of training with great success. All I can ask is that you have an open mind and give it a try for yourself. Until next time, be safe and have fun.